Not all strength is loud. Not all warriors shout. Some stand quietly, carrying storms inside them, and that is where true power lives. Joe Ranga is not defined by noise, applause, or attention. His strength speaks in silence. When the world expected him to break, he chose to endure. When challenges tried to weaken him, he grew stronger, without seeking sympathy, without demanding recognition. The silent strength of Joe Ranga lies in his discipline when no one is watching, his patience when progress is slow, and his courage to keep going when giving up feels easier. He understands that real power is built in the unseen moments, early mornings, lonely nights, repeated failures, and quiet decisions to try again. Joe Ranga does not waste energy proving himself to the world. Instead, he invested in becoming better than he was yesterday. His silence is not weakness, it is focus. His calm is not fear, it is control. His restraint is not hesitation, it is wisdom. In a world obsessed with being heard, Joe Ranga reminds us that growth does not need an audience. Success does not need announcements. And strength does not need permission. Because when the time comes, the quiet ones rise. And their impact is unforgettable. True strength is often misunderstood because the world associates power with volume, loud voices, bold claims, constant visibility, and public validation. But real strength moves differently. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It exists quietly, firmly rooted in self-belief and inner control. Joe Ranga's strength is not built on shouting his worth to the world. Instead, it is built on certainty in his purpose, his values, and his ability to endure whatever comes his way. When someone is truly strong, they do not feel the need to explain themselves repeatedly or prove their capability through words. Their actions, consistency, and presence speak louder than any declaration ever could. Noise often comes from insecurity. Those who doubt themselves feel the need to overcompensate by being seen and heard at all times. Joe Ranga operates from the opposite space. His silence reflects confidence, not fear. It shows that he trusts his path enough to walk it without applause. He understands that energy wasted on seeking attention is energy taken away from growth. True strength also means remaining calm in moments of pressure. When situations become chaotic, loud reactions may create the illusion of control, but they often reveal a lack of it. Joe Ranga's quiet approach allows him to observe, assess, and respond with clarity rather than emotion. This restraint is a powerful weapon. It keeps him focused while others are distracted by noise. There is also dignity in silent strength. Joe Ranga does not engage in unnecessary conflicts or ego battles. He chooses peace over proving a point and progress over performance. This choice requires immense inner strength because it is far easier to react loudly than to remain composed and purposeful. In the unseen moments, when no one is watching, praising, or encouraging, Joe Ranga continues to work, refine himself, and build discipline. This is where real strength is formed. Not in public victories but in private consistency. Not in words spoken but in effort repeated. His silence becomes a signal. It tells the world that he is focused, grounded, and prepared. It shows that he does not need validation to move forward. And when results finally appear, they carry weight, because they were not created by noise, but by unwavering inner power. Resilience is not something that appears overnight. It is built slowly, quietly, and often painfully. Silence plays a crucial role in this process because it forces a person to face reality without distraction, without external comfort, and without constant reassurance. For Joe Ranga, silence is not emptiness, it is the space where resilience is formed. When struggles arrive, many people seek noise as an escape. They complain, explain, justify, or look outward for sympathy. Joe Ranga chooses a different path. He absorbs the weight of difficulty in silence, allowing it to strengthen him rather than break him. This quiet endurance creates a deep, unshakable toughness, one that is not visible at first but impossible to destroy. Silence teaches self-reliance. Without an audience to lean on, Joe Ranga learns to depend on his own judgment, discipline, and inner voice. Every challenge faced in silence sharpens his mental strength. Every setback endured without announcement adds another layer to his resilience. He understands that growth does not require constant expression, it requires honest effort. There is also a powerful connection between silence and emotional control. Resilience is not only about surviving hardship, but about remaining steady within it. Joe Ranga's silence helps him manage frustration, disappointment, and doubt without allowing them to dominate his actions. Instead of reacting impulsively, he processes quietly, turning pressure into clarity and pain into patience. The quiet moments after failure are especially important. When applause disappears and support fades, silence becomes the true test. Joe Ranga does not rush to explain his losses or defend his mistakes. He studies them. He learns from them. This reflective silence transforms failure into experience and experience into strength. Over time, this silent endurance builds a resilience that does not depend on circumstances. Joe Ranga remains grounded whether things are going well or falling apart. His strength does not rise and fall with opinions or outcomes because it was built away from noise, away from approval, and away from comfort. Silence hardens the mind while softening the ego. Joe Ranga does not feel the need to broadcast pain to feel real or validated. He knows that every quiet struggle survived adds to his capacity to face the next one. This is how resilience becomes permanent, not through loud resistance but through silent persistence. Discipline is the ability to choose what matters most, even when no one is watching. Attention, on the other hand, is temporary. It comes and goes, rises and fades, and often distracts more than it strengthens. Joe Ranga understands this difference deeply, which is why he prioritizes discipline over attention in everything he does. Attention rewards visibility. Discipline rewards consistency. Joe Ranga does not chase moments that make him look successful. He commits to habits that actually make him successful. While others measure progress by likes, praise, or recognition, he measures it by effort repeated day after day. This quiet commitment creates a foundation that cannot be shaken by public opinion. Choosing discipline over attention requires sacrifice. It means working in isolation, pushing forward without encouragement, and staying loyal to the process even when results are slow. Joe Ranga accepts this reality without resentment. He knows that attention often arrives before readiness, while discipline ensures preparedness long before success is visible. There is also clarity in discipline. When attention becomes the goal, decisions are shaped by how they will be perceived. When discipline becomes the goal, decisions are shaped by long-term growth. Joe Ranga does not alter his path to impress others. He stays focused on what needs to be done, not what needs to be seen. Discipline also protects Joe Ranga from ego. Attention can inflate pride and create false confidence, but discipline keeps him grounded in reality. It reminds him that progress is built through repetition, correction, and patience. Each disciplined action strengthens his character, not just his image. Even in moments when attention is offered, Joe Ranga does not allow it to control him. He does not confuse recognition with achievement. Instead, he returns to his routine, understanding that applause does not replace effort. Discipline keeps him moving forward when excitement fades and motivation disappears. By choosing discipline over attention, Joe Ranga builds strength that lasts beyond trends and opinions. His work ethic becomes his identity, his habits become his power, and his focus remains unbroken, regardless of who is watching and who is not. Patience is often mistaken for weakness or delay, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful forces a person can possess. Joe Ranga understands that real progress takes time, and rushing the process only weakens the foundation. He does not measure success by speed, but by sustainability, knowing that strength built slowly lasts longer. In a world driven by instant results, patience becomes a competitive advantage. While others become frustrated by slow progress and abandon their efforts, Joe Ranga remains steady. He accepts that growth is gradual and that every meaningful achievement is the result of accumulated effort. This patience allows him to stay committed when the path feels uncertain or unrewarding. Power is created when patience meets consistency. Joe Ranga continues to show up, even when results are invisible. He understands that unseen progress is still progress, and that every disciplined action adds momentum, even if it cannot be measured immediately. This mindset protects him from discouragement and keeps his focus on the long-term vision. Patience also strengthens emotional control. Instead of reacting impulsively to setbacks, Joe Ranga allows time to clarify situations. He resists the urge to force outcomes or make decisions driven by frustration. This calm approach gives him clarity, allowing him to move with intention rather than urgency. There is also strength in waiting without losing belief. Joe Ranga does not let delays weaken his confidence or doubt his direction. He trusts the process he has committed to, knowing that pressure, time, and repetition are shaping him into something stronger. His patience is not passive. It is active endurance. Through patience, Joe Ranga develops resilience against disappointment. He understands that setbacks are not signs of failure but stages of development. Each pause, obstacle, or delay becomes an opportunity to refine skills, sharpen focus, and deepen understanding. This transforms waiting into preparation and time into an ally. As patience continues to guide his actions, power quietly accumulates. Not explosive, not sudden, but solid, controlled, and unbreakable. The kind of power that cannot be rushed, cannot be borrowed, and cannot be taken away. Leadership is often associated with authority, visibility, and influence over others, but true leadership begins with control over oneself. Joe Ranga understands that without inner control, external leadership is fragile. The ability to manage thoughts, emotions, and reactions is what gives his leadership depth and credibility. Inner control allows Joe Ranga to remain steady in unpredictable situations. When pressure rises or challenges intensify, he does not allow emotions to dictate his actions. Instead of reacting impulsively, he pauses, assesses, and responds with intention. This calm presence creates trust, because people naturally follow those who remain composed when circumstances are difficult. Emotional discipline is a silent form of leadership. Joe Ranga does not let anger, fear, or frustration shape his decisions. He acknowledges these emotions without being controlled by them. This self-mastery prevents conflict, reduces mistakes, and keeps his focus aligned with long-term goals rather than short-term impulses. Leadership also requires the ability to listen more than speak. Joe Ranga's inner control allows him to absorb information without defensiveness or ego. He values understanding over dominance, knowing that wise leadership comes from clarity, not volume. His restraint creates space for thoughtful decisions rather than rushed commands. Inner control strengthens integrity. Joe Ranga remains consistent in his values, regardless of pressure or temptation. He does not shift his principles to gain approval or avoid discomfort. This consistency builds respect, because leadership rooted in self-control is reliable and predictable, even in challenging moments. Another aspect of inner control is responsibility. Joe Ranga does not blame circumstances or people when things go wrong. He takes ownership of outcomes and focuses on improvement rather than excuses. This accountability sets a standard that inspires discipline and responsibility in others. By mastering himself first, Joe Ranga leads without force. His presence alone influences direction, his composure sets the tone, and his actions reinforce trust, making his leadership quiet, steady, and deeply effective. Failure has a way of exposing character. Some respond to it with excuses, others with blame, and many with loud explanations meant to protect their image. Joe Ranga chooses silence. He understands that failure does not require defense, it requires understanding. By facing failure quietly, he allows it to become a teacher rather than a threat. Silence after failure creates space for honesty. Without the pressure to explain himself to others, Joe Ranga confronts his mistakes directly. He examines where he fell short, what decisions led him there, and how he can improve. This private reflection turns failure into insight instead of embarrassment. Facing failure quietly also prevents emotional overreaction. Joe Ranga does not let disappointment turn into self-pity or frustration into recklessness. He absorbs the loss calmly, giving himself time to process the experience before taking the next step. This controlled response preserves focus and prevents repeated mistakes driven by emotion. There is strength in resisting the urge to justify failure publicly. Joe Ranga does not seek sympathy or validation to soften the impact of setbacks. He understands that growth does not require approval, and lessons do not need an audience. This quiet acceptance builds mental toughness and emotional independence. Failure also humbles without weakening. By confronting it in silence, Joe Ranga remains grounded, aware of his limitations and open to learning. He does not allow ego to interfere with progress. Instead, he uses failure to sharpen discipline, refine strategy, and adjust direction. Quietly facing failure builds resilience over time. Each setback handled with composure strengthens Joe Ranga's ability to endure future challenges. He becomes less reactive, more thoughtful, and increasingly focused on long-term development rather than short-term outcomes. Through silence, failure loses its power to define him. It becomes a phase, not an identity, a moment of learning rather than a moment of defeat. Validation is fleeting. It depends on opinions, moods, trends, and external approval. Focus, on the other hand, is internal and controlled. Joe Ranga understands that when validation becomes the goal, direction is easily lost. When focus becomes the priority, progress becomes inevitable. Many people adjust their actions to be liked, praised, or accepted. Joe Ranga resists this pull. He does not shape his journey around applause or criticism. Instead, he commits fully to what must be done regardless of how it is received. This focus keeps his energy directed toward growth rather than reaction. Seeking validation often leads to distraction. Attention shifts from improvement to impression. Joe Ranga avoids this trap by grounding himself in purpose. He measures success by alignment with his values and effort, not by external feedback. This allows him to stay consistent even when recognition is absent. Focus also strengthens mental clarity. Joe Ranga does not allow praise to inflate his ego or criticism to break his confidence. He absorbs feedback selectively, using what is useful and discarding what is not. This balanced approach protects his mindset and keeps him centered on long-term objectives. There is also freedom in letting go of validation. Joe Ranga is not burdened by the need to explain himself or seek reassurance. This independence allows him to take risks, make difficult choices, and stay committed during lonely phases of growth. His focus remains intact because it is not tied to approval. By choosing focus over validation, Joe Ranga builds a strong internal compass. His decisions are guided by intention rather than reaction. His progress is steady because it is not interrupted by doubt or dependency on others' opinions. Focus becomes his discipline, his shield, and his direction, keeping him moving forward regardless of who understands his path and who does not. History is not shaped only by those who spoke the most, but by those who built the most. Quiet individuals often work beneath the surface, unnoticed, misunderstood, and underestimated. Joe Ranga belongs to this space. His impact is not immediate or flashy, but it is deep, structured, and enduring. Quiet people focus on substance rather than appearance. Joe Ranga invests his time in developing skills, character, and resilience instead of cultivating attention. While others chase recognition, he builds something that does not rely on visibility. This dedication creates results that last long after trends fade and voices fall silent. A loud legacy is not created through noise, but through consistency. Joe Ranga's daily actions, repeated without announcement, form a pattern of excellence. Over time, these patterns shape outcomes that speak for themselves. People may not notice the work while it is happening, but they cannot ignore the results when they appear. Quiet strength also inspires in ways words cannot. Joe Ranga influences others through example rather than instruction. His discipline, composure, and persistence communicate lessons more powerful than speeches. Those who observe closely learn that real impact comes from action, not volume. There is also permanence in quiet legacies. Loud success often fades when attention shifts, but the foundations built in silence remain. Joe Ranga's contributions, whether in character, leadership, or achievement, continue to affect others long after he has moved on. His influence spreads through what he leaves behind, not what he announces. Quiet people often endure the longest journeys. Without relying on praise or momentum from recognition, Joe Ranga develops patience and depth. This allows his legacy to mature naturally, gaining strength over time rather than burning out quickly. As his work accumulates, the contrast becomes clear. Silence does not mean. Some of the most important battles are fought in isolation. No audience, no recognition, no encouragement, just effort and resolve. Joe Ranga understands that real strength is not formed in moments of visibility, but in moments of solitude, where commitment is tested without reward. When no one is watching, excuses are easiest to make. Motivation fades, shortcuts appear tempting, and discipline becomes optional. Joe Ranga chooses differently. He continues to work, train, think, and improve even when there is nothing to gain publicly. This unseen effort becomes the backbone of his strength. Private effort builds authentic confidence. Joe Ranga does not rely on external praise to feel capable because his belief is rooted in what he has done repeatedly in silence. Every unseen struggle survived reinforces trust in himself. This internal confidence cannot be shaken by criticism or failure because it was earned, not given. Strength built in isolation also sharpens honesty. Without the need to perform, Joe Ranga confronts his weaknesses directly. He recognizes his limitations without denial and addresses them without distraction. This self-awareness strengthens him far more than pretending perfection ever could. There is also mental toughness forged in unseen moments. Joe Ranga learns to push through fatigue, doubt, and resistance without external motivation. He becomes comfortable being alone with discomfort, which prepares him for pressure when it eventually arrives in public situations. When opportunities finally appear, Joe Ranga is ready, not because of luck, but because of preparation done quietly over time. What looks effortless to others is the result of countless unseen hours of effort. His strength surprises people because they never witnessed its construction. The work done in silence compounds. Each private choice to stay disciplined adds depth to his character and weight to his actions, making his strength real, reliable, and deeply rooted. Words are easy. Anyone can speak with confidence, promise change, or make grand declarations. Action is different. It requires courage, consistency, and commitment, qualities that Joe Ranga embodies. He understands that words without action are empty, and impact is measured not by what is said, but by what is done. Joe Ranga prioritizes doing over talking. While others may focus on explaining plans, justifying failures, or seeking validation through statements, he invests his energy in concrete steps that move him forward. Every action, no matter how small, is deliberate, intentional, and contributes to growth. This principle allows him to achieve results that speak louder than any speech. Actions also reveal character. It is easy to claim values, dreams, or intentions, but living them consistently is the true test. Joe Ranga demonstrates integrity through daily decisions, persistence in the face of adversity, and commitment even when outcomes are uncertain. His actions confirm his words, rather than relying on words to confirm his worth. Consistency in action builds credibility. People can trust Joe Ranga not because of promises made, but because of patterns observed. Over time, repeated efforts and results demonstrate reliability, skill, and resilience. His reputation grows naturally, quietly, and solidly, rooted in tangible achievements rather than superficial claims. Taking action also generates momentum. Joe Ranga does not wait for ideal conditions, recognition, or external support. He begins where he is, with what he has, and grows incrementally. Each step forward compounds, creating opportunities, skills, and experiences that words alone could never create. Furthermore, actions carry influence. When Joe Ranga acts with intention, others are inspired not by his speech, but by witnessing results and effort in motion. This influence is subtle but profound, demonstrating that leadership and impact arise from doing rather than talking. By focusing on action over words, Joe Ranga ensures that his legacy is defined by tangible results, lasting contributions, and the respect earned through effort, showing that real power is demonstrated, not proclaimed. Many people confuse effort with impact, believing that short bursts of energy, flashy achievements, or intense displays of work will define success. Joe Ranga knows that real power is not built in sporadic explosions of effort. It is forged in steady, unwavering consistency. Small actions, repeated day after day, eventually compound into results far greater than any single act of intensity could produce. Consistency creates reliability. Joe Ranga's actions are predictable in their commitment, not in their flamboyance. He does not rely on occasional brilliance to carry him forward. Instead, he relies on habits, routines, and a relentless commitment to doing what needs to be done. This regularity builds trust, not just in others but also in himself. When he faces challenges, he knows that his disciplined, repeated effort will carry him through. Consistency also transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. While others may burn out from unsustainable bursts of work, Joe Ranga's quiet repetition allows progress to accumulate naturally. Each task completed, each habit maintained, each small improvement adds to an invisible foundation, creating strength that is long-lasting and resilient. There is also a mental advantage to consistent action. By showing up every day, even when motivation is low or circumstances are unfavorable, Joe Ranga develops grit and patience. He becomes comfortable with persistence, capable of enduring delays, and able to maintain focus even when results are slow to appear. This mindset creates a psychological edge that intensity alone cannot provide. Consistency builds momentum that intensity cannot sustain. A short, energetic effort may produce visible results momentarily, but it fades without reinforcement. Joe Ranga's repeated, disciplined actions generate compounding benefits that amplify over time, eventually surpassing those who rely on temporary flashes of energy. His approach is quiet, methodical, and unstoppable. Finally, consistency strengthens character. Each day of deliberate effort reinforces patience, humility, and resilience. Joe Ranga does not become a product of occasional triumphs. He becomes a product of reliable dedication. This approach ensures that his strength is not fleeting, his influence not momentary, and his impact not dependent on circumstances or recognition. Many people believe that success is determined by chance, timing, or fortune. Joe Ranga knows better. True success is rarely random. It is the product of deliberate preparation, planning, and foresight. While others wait for opportunities to fall into their laps, Joe Ranga ensures he is ready the moment opportunity arrives. Preparation begins with understanding oneself. Joe Ranga studies his strengths, acknowledges his weaknesses, and develops strategies to overcome obstacles. He does not rely on luck to cover gaps or compensate for shortcomings. Instead, he anticipates challenges and equips himself with the skills, knowledge, and discipline needed to navigate them effectively. Being prepared also means working ahead of time, often in ways unseen by others. Joe Ranga invests effort long before results are required. He practices, rehearses, and refines his approach consistently, knowing that each step forward quietly compounds into readiness. By the time the world notices, he is already ahead, capable, and confident. Preparation reduces uncertainty and fear. When faced with difficult decisions or high-pressure situations, Joe Ranga's prior planning allows him to respond calmly rather than react impulsively. This foresight transforms stress into clarity, hesitation into action, and doubt into assurance. Preparation also multiplies opportunities. Luck may present a chance once, but being ready allows Joe Ranga to seize it fully, turning a single moment into significant outcomes. Others may stumble when opportunity appears because they were unprepared, while his foresight ensures that he capitalizes on every possibility. Furthermore, preparation reinforces self-belief. Joe Ranga does not depend on external validation to feel capable, because he knows the effort he has put in. This internal confidence is far more reliable than luck or public recognition. It becomes a shield against failure, a driver of persistence, and a magnet for sustained success. Ultimately, preparation ensures that what might seem like luck to outsiders is actually the result of deliberate, disciplined, and consistent effort. A silent but powerful advantage that allows Joe Ranga to achieve results that others only dream of. Courage is often misunderstood as dramatic, public, or loud. Many assume it is visible in grand gestures, bold declarations, or acts that draw attention. Joe Ranga embodies a different kind of courage. A quiet, unwavering bravery that does not seek applause or recognition. True courage is not measured by how many people witness it, but by the consistency of action in the face of fear and uncertainty. Joe Ranga's courage manifests in the moments that no one sees. It is the decision to continue when failure looms, to stay committed when doubts arise, and to take risks when the path forward is unclear. He understands that real bravery often comes in silence, in choices made privately, and in perseverance when external validation is absent. Silent courage requires self-trust. Joe Ranga does not rely on others to reassure him or to validate his decisions. He confronts challenges with confidence grounded in preparation, discipline, and experience. This internal fortitude allows him to act decisively, even when the outcome is uncertain or opposition is strong. There is also humility in silent courage. Joe Ranga does not perform bravery for praise or attention. He does not need to announce his fears or victories. Instead, he acts out of necessity, principle, or purpose, letting results and integrity speak for themselves. This restraint amplifies the impact of his actions because they are genuine, intentional, and unforced. Facing fear quietly also strengthens resilience. Each act of courage, taken without fanfare, builds confidence for the next challenge. Over time, this creates a compounding effect. Challenges become less intimidating, risks become calculated, and perseverance becomes natural. Joe Ranga's silent courage is not a one-time act. It is a continuous practice that shapes character. Finally, silent courage inspires others subtly but powerfully. Those who witness Joe Ranga's calm resolve, steadfast actions, and deliberate choices learn that bravery does not need a stage. It teaches that facing adversity with composure and determination is often more effective than flashy displays of boldness. Humility is often mistaken for weakness, but for Joe Ranga, it is a cornerstone of real strength. True power does not need to assert itself or demand recognition. Humility allows him to stay grounded, receptive, and focused on growth, even while achieving greatness. It is the quiet confidence that does not boast, but quietly outperforms. Joe Ranga understands that ego can be a barrier to progress. Those who seek constant praise or acknowledgement often make decisions based on image rather than effectiveness. Humility frees him from this trap. He prioritizes learning, improvement, and meaningful results over appearing impressive, which allows his strength to grow uninterrupted by distractions. Humility also fosters openness. Joe Ranga listens more than he speaks, values the perspectives of others, and is willing to acknowledge mistakes without defensiveness. By doing so, he gains insight and knowledge that others, blinded by pride, might overlook. This ability to learn continuously strengthens him internally, creating wisdom alongside capability. There is resilience in humility. Joe Ranga does not allow external accolades, or the lack thereof, to define him. He does not measure worth by comparison or competition. Instead, he focuses on his own development and consistent effort. This self-awareness ensures that his motivation remains internal, stable, and enduring, rather than dependent on external validation. Humility also enhances leadership. People are naturally drawn to those who act with quiet confidence and authenticity. Joe Ranga inspires through example, not through dominance or ego-driven commands. His approach encourages collaboration, trust, and loyalty, strengthening his influence far more than authority or force could. Finally, humility amplifies the impact of achievements. When strength is paired with modesty, accomplishments are not diluted by arrogance. They stand as a testament to character and discipline. Joe Ranga's quiet confidence ensures that every success carries weight, credibility, and respect, making his presence and influence far more enduring. Joe Ranga teaches us that true strength is not measured by noise, recognition, or the eyes of the world. It is forged in silence, patience, discipline, and purpose. Every quiet action, every unseen effort, and every challenge faced alone builds a foundation that cannot be shaken. The journey of growth is rarely glamorous. It is filled with unseen struggles, disciplined choices, and moments when giving up seems easier than continuing. Yet, it is precisely in these moments, when no one is watching, when silence surrounds us, and when the world doubts, that real strength emerges. Joe Ranga shows us that impact matters more than applause, action more than words, and resilience more than comfort. His life is proof that greatness is not loud, it is consistent, focused, and purposeful. And while recognition may fade, the legacy built through quiet determination, courage, and unwavering commitment endures forever. So let us be inspired by the silent strength within ourselves. Let us act with discipline when no one is watching, persevere when the path is difficult, and build a life of purpose that echoes far beyond our presence. Because true power is quiet, and the influence of a life well lived is eternal.